Be right there. Where did I put my ruddy water? Wait. Right. Let me do a little. This one? Oh god. Forgotten how to stream. Oh no. Oh no, you can see. Get back. That better? They are. No problem now. Can't tell there was a problem at all. Hello! How's everyone doing? I hope you're well. Oh! Been relatively busy over the last week, just with a bit of CitizenCon stuff and some plans for some videos and things. Please, if you would like to ask a question during the live stream, just question in brackets, bam, ask a question. I'll try to come to it at some point. You don't have to donate or anything to have a question asked or answered or whatever. Typically, if people do donate or whatever, that question will appear on my screen immediately, and I will try and read it ASAP. But that's the best you'll get. I will make sure I read any of those questions, obviously, because I like money. But there is no essentiality, if that's a word that I just made up, to do that. You will have your question answered. Whatever, I come to them eventually, probably. I sometimes go on off a bit of a ramble. I talk about some random bits and bobs of Star Citizen. You might rekindle some passion I had in my head of something I did in 2015 with the Star Citizens. Oh, remember the heydays. Let's see, I've gone off on a random tangent now. Hope everyone is doing well. Good afternoon. Hello. You were here for the early pre-show. What have we got? Anything exciting already? Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello, Demolic. Will we get the Corsair in 3.17.4? That's the question. There's a video that will be going out after this live stream where I again talk about that. So for people that don't know, I suspect most people do, Alpha 3.18 has been delayed, which surprises pretty much no one. There are African tribes that have yet to meet another living human outside of their tribe in deepest, darkest Africa that were aware that Star Citizen 3.18 was probably going to be delayed. So let's so 3.18, the big parts of that certainly are not going to appear for the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo this year, and 3.18 has been delayed basically for the live build anyway until early to mid-December, let's say. So the IAE is still going ahead, and there's going to be a 3.17.4 patch for it. There could be some bits that were previously going to be in 3.18 in it, though. So things like the Grey Cat buggy racetrack in the Horizon Vision Center. Things like the Corsair. What other ships and vehicles they had planned. That sort of stuff. Yeah? Potentially some optimizations. So we don't know exactly what's in it yet. The roadmap next week should reveal at least some of what's in it. So sort of bear that in mind. I appreciate all the kind words, Calamitous Intent. And I'm very sorry for everyone's name I get incredibly wrong, either because I've not looked at it properly, or because I'm unable to read, because I'm an idiot. I'm dyslexic, and I have trouble with words or collections of letters in orders that I've not read before, or that surprise me. That's the way I describe dyslexia to someone else. Trapper, thank you very much for the donation. That is very much appreciated, with some form of screamy face. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be surprise or spooky. Maybe both. Ooh. I'm a little bit manic today. I've slept for 2 hours last night. I played Overwatch 2 with Zin and a few other of our mates until like 2 a.m. in the morning. We sort of didn't realise we were playing it until like 1 a.m. Like, oh god, we're pretty late now. And we did a couple more games. Then I did like one afterwards myself. And then I watched some stuff. So I was up until like 4 a.m. and I slept for an hour or two. Then got up really early, did some work. I collect board games and have been trying to compress my collection and a load of Kickstarters. So I went through a load of Kickstarters that I made over the last 4 years, a lot of which still have not arrived yet. So I was cancelling a load of these Kickstarters that are either still not here or I really don't want anymore, or was I drunk when I backed this board game? I did not realise there was a human face in this video. Zin's fired. No, she's not. I will go, Zin, there's a human face. What are people supposed to... humans don't develop Star Citizen. I just want the gameplay footage. Yeah, I back a lot of Kickstarter stuff. Board games. Almost exclusively board games. And thousands of pounds a year. It is my major poison. I suppose better than, like, you know, drugs and alcohol. Like, not, but I mean, board games are pretty good. Can't do a line of I don't know, what's a good board game? Gloomhaven. But you probably could though. I appreciate all the kind words. Thank you so much. Yeah, but I'm super manic today, so a bit sporadic and scatterbrain, I think you may see. I appreciate all the kindness. Thank you so much. So yeah, we don't know if we're getting the Corsair in 3.17.4. I'd say it's very possible, though, at the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo anyway. What else have we got here? Bored, long time, 4 to 5 years since I religiously followed Star Citizen Dev. What tech pillars and hurdles does Star Citizen still need to overcome? Also, happy to see you're doing your thing. Thank you, I appreciate that, Shake and Bake. So, major sort of hurdles, realistically now, are persistent anti-streaming of 3.18, and general additional gameplay with salvage and stuff, but pillar-wise, server meshing, boop, updated, proper AI, and then that's the main pillars. So, subsumption for the AI, and then I suppose it moves on to physical components and the resource system, and the dynamic universe sim, so the quanta system. Those are really the main pillars. So that is a really good question, actually. So good that I will I will make a video on it. Components. So server meshing, physical components, subsumption. And is it? I suppose the dynamic universe is separate. Bringing the gameplay together. Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I will make a video on that. Who asked that question? Shake and Bake. I will. Shake and Bake. I may even credit you somewhere in that for giving me the idea of it. Although I think it is already in my ideas pool. It just, you've reminded me to do it in the short term because I think that's a really great video idea. Thank you very much for that. All right, what else have we got? I got really angry with this delay. If they're having so much trouble with this one, imagine 4.0 server meshing will break the entire game for a year in 2023. Hopefully not. Hopefully. But so they're working on server meshing at the same time as persistent entity streaming. Persistent entity streaming is obviously a big thing they need to get done. But it's been them working on persistent entity streaming, all of the sort of background mini services and login servers and database stuff, as well as server meshing all at the same time. Hopefully they'll be in a better position for when 4.0 needs to come out. But yeah, it could be in a long cycle as well. We could see delays with that. Once we have server meshing out of the way, that is huge. That is hopefully in great footing for just sprinting with content. I think that's the hope, and that's the sort of getting really close to Squadron 42's release in the next 18 months to 2 years, question mark. And that will allow them to really, really make some fantastic progress while also having the core of the game, which is pretty stable. Thoughts on the new EVA system? And will we need to keep a seat in the ship specifically to do EVA repairs? Well, yeah, unless you want to hold your breath. Yeah, so you want an EVA suit. You want a flight suit so you can go out, yeah, in space. But you'll be able to pull yourself around. However, if for some reason you get detached or whatever, or you want to move quickly, you're going to need a EVA backpack, which will allow you to act a bit like Iron Man and fly around. Otherwise, you're pulling yourself and pushing yourself. The problem is if you push yourself off and you haven't got an EVA backpack, you might be screwed. Well, I suppose you could get around with a tractor beam. How am I today, buddy? I'm doing all right. A bit manic, but good. Any talks of science and exploration gameplays? Not for a while. And we do sort of know that they're slowly putting in more and more little things that can be seen as exploration. Exploration is going to be... Take my prime, take it I day. Thank you very much, Urbanus. I appreciate that. Namaste. I don't know, I've gone a bit peculiar. Thank you very much. That is very much appreciated. Anyone else that wants to subscribe or donate or whatever, I'll take your money, obviously. How much wood would Chris Roberts chuck if Chris Roberts could chuck wood? 7 to 12. He doesn't chuck wood. He'd get someone else to do it. It would take about a year. They'd have to form a team, and then it may be delayed. But it would be the best, most immersive woodchuck that you'd ever did hear about. I heard from an inside source that there are light, medium, and heavy jetpacks being added in game. That makes sense. I think they previously very briefly mentioned that it might be sizes of EVA or EVA suits of different sizes based on your flight suit or armor or whatever. So that makes sense. No 600i gold standard, question mark. Let's see what happens. So obviously they've got the 600i rec in 3.18. Space boxes or space briefs? Space boxes. I'm a boxers man. Have you been drinking enough water? I drink tons of water. When are the spirit ships likely to be available? There is no confirmation yet. We will be getting a Q&A later this week. So giving us a bit more information. Maybe they'll give us a bit of a hint. I'm expecting at some point next year, but it's vague. Vague at best. So Yeti, closing on my new house. Currently at the attorney. So your solicitor, that's what we call them in the UK, or conveyancer for housing. Won't be here for AMA. Sorry. No worries, Yeti. If you are still here, love you. You're a legend. And good luck with your new house. I love the fact that my mods just turn up. I don't say anything. I don't necessarily give them a time. They turn up. You're beautiful people. You're beautiful boys. Thanks so much. Like, genuinely. What else have we got? I really like how you cover the game development. It would be awesome to see it for other games, but I know most game developers don't release dev updates at the frequency of Star Citizen, like Starfield. I will cover occasional games. I'll do a little tiny bit of Starfield coverage now and again. If I get into any other games in the same way I am with Star Citizen, then I may cover them. I've done it previously with like Diablo 3 and Titanfall, for example, because I loved those games. Any plans to expand to other games? maybe in the future. I mean, I'll probably start streaming some other stuff, and we do play other things occasionally on the channel, but mainly that goes out to subs, so channel members and Patreons. It's like exclusive content for them. Sometimes you are doing significant hand waving to the camera. Is that when you're casting your spells on the viewers to provide additional funding and support? Yes. Make sure you like and subscribe. Salvage in 3.17.4, what do you think? No, I do not think. I think that is... it would be... I'd put money on it not being there. It's almost... yeah, it's not going to be there. They'd require testing for it. A lot of testing. And what else have we got here? Hey, Bod, do you think we might see some changes to mining, filtering out inert materials for Prospector and Mole in 3.18 or maybe 3.18.x? Yeah, so I'm expecting to see some mining and refining improvements, but I have no idea when they're going to be done. So I think if there is a 3.19 patch before 4.0, there'll be a lot of stuff like that done in it. Any talks on hoverboards, jetpacks, or skis, or snowboards? Not really. I like the idea of some of it. Obviously, especially now with the hover trolleys, they do make other things like hoverboards more available as a potential. They want some way of surviving in atmosphere if you eject from your ship as well. So that's going to either be a parachute or a jetpack or some sort of landing chairboy. And skis and snowboards, I love the idea of, but they haven't talked anything about that. Why Pyro looks so boring? Where's the lava and firestorms? There will be lava at some point. One of the reasons they were building the river tech was to allow for flowing lava, or lava rivers of some description. Expect there to be a lot more cool little bits to Pyro added as they close it out. So does this mean no more 3.18 Evocardi until 3.17.4 is out? Not necessarily. You may see some Evocardi testing throughout. Although what's more likely to happen is that Cloud Imperium are going to fix some bits, tweak some bits for Evocardi, and get 3.17.4 out, get the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo sorted, and then while that's happening, be testing Evocardi for 3.18. Do you think we'll get 4.0 next year? I think yes. I think middle of next year is where they're probably targeting 4.0 at the moment. So end of Q2 is probably the current target. Do you think we'll get a release date for Squadron 42 next year? So it's hard to tell, but that makes sense. Basically, they've said it's sort of within 2 years away. So next year would make sense if they started advertising it from like CitizenCon onwards. Yeah? No, thank you. So people that are thanking me for answering their questions and stuff or whatever, it's content for my stream. I want people to ask questions. You are helping me out, and thank you for asking. Would it be better for CIG to delay the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo until 3.18 comes out? No. So they need to sort of hit those dates for those specific events, and it makes sense for them just to do a 3.17.4 mini patch for it. I think that is the better option. When is HDR supposed to be implemented? So I think like there's some auto HDR stuff that will work now. Expect it to be done after the Gen 12 renderer. I suppose it's more of a Vulkan thing. After they've integrated Vulkan, I think. If Vulkan will allow for it. NPCs have no brains because they're all sharing the same computer brain at the same time. So their ticks are super slow. That's partly true. That also that a lot of the AI we currently have in game has been updated, but not in our branch for quite some time. The devs have got different AI based on a different system. So yes, server ticks certainly making the current AI dum-dums, or helping making them dum-dums. But they're also not as advanced as they could be and not as sort of efficient as they could be because they've been working on a different set of sort of AI stuff, as far as I'm aware. Hey board, when will Star Citizen finally have planet territory warfare between hundreds of players using land and air systems and ships? That happens now already, although it's planned. It's not enforced by games, and you see it like Jump Town and that sort of stuff. But there'll be more and more gameplay that's more like that going into the game, and they are going to be building out player bases and stuff like that, which will allow for that a lot more. It's coming. It's probably a while away, though. It's sort of something we might see in the midterm. Sorry, I can't give you like hard dates, and so some of that sort of stuff will come in next year, sort of a little bit more. Hopefully the music's not too loud for you. What else we got? Have the elevators been fixed? Expect the elevators to be in a much better state for 3.17.4. Elevators are okay-ish in 3.17.3, right? Like, they're not constantly a problem. I mean, potentially in some ships or some areas that I don't frequent, they might be. Elevators have been fixed many times, yeah, indeed, and keep on breaking. When do you think we'll be able to carry weapons with ordinary clothing? That will be coming at some point. Obviously, they were also planning to remove the sort of green zones, so you'll be able to pull your weapons anywhere. That'll be a thing. They haven't said when. It's Chris Roberts behind me. He's just chilling out after CitizenCon. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Lord. How's it going? You're my favorite.
Thanks, Chris. That's appreciated. You're making me blush. So what do you anticipate 3.17.4 have in it? So Intergalactic Aerospace Expo stuff. So wherever that expo hall is, the ships and all that sort of jazz. Some fixes and updates, just very minor ones to get stability a little bit better. And then you're looking at things like potentially the Corsair, potentially the Grey Cat racetrack and buggies, and then some extra ships and vehicles, whatever they've got planned for the IAE. Tamburello. Thanks for the money. I appreciate the donation, buddy. That is legendary. I even tried to say your name multiple times. I thought enough times to represent the amount of donated money. I'm giving. I have to get this right. Tamburello. See, my brain is just letters that have not gone together before, and new names. Brain bad at work. Hey, how are people able to have multiple hundreds of millions of LPBC? I saw multiple people now with way more than what I thought was grindable. So as soon as you're able to leverage, like mass transit, for mass cargo capacity, or grind certain missions, it's more the sort of cargo and stuff, sort of very high levels, you're able to grind quite a lot of money. And obviously things like Jump Town and doing the events, they have huge amounts of sort of capital gains. So yes, I think that the Corsair is going to be in 3.17.4. I think it is. I would expect the Vulture to be at the expo as something to look at and look around, but I don't think it will be flyable. Yeah, me and Zin will be making more gameplay footage of us. Is there information out there on how Star Citizen will handle, or if it will have traditional quest lines, progression through mini stories? So it looks like there's going to be obviously a reputation system and sets of missions within that reputation system that will be sort of seen as quest lines, and missions in particular zones and areas. They may be a bit mini quest-y. There's going to be sort of more theme park ride tailored missions, as well as the more procedurally assisted and modular missions. So obviously there'll be like some of these rep missions that are just there for grinding and building rep in between them, and then you get to a certain rep level, bam, you unlock the next sort of story or a major quest or a particular faction. That sort of thing is what I'm expecting. Have they talked about bug fixing current mining gameplay? I mean, they have a few times. I'm not sure what we're seeing like 3.17.4. Vivicardi tests at the moment, or what's being tested. I will say that they will test the cargo refactor in Evocati at some point, almost definitely. If not already. Sorry, I have to be sort of slightly obscure. You think with the delay we might see additional content that was unexpected for 3.18? Yes, but only little bits. Like, there's always some unexpected content, right? Which they cover in like patch watches. It can be quite minor things, but it could be new missions. There's a few things that normally turn up. I don't think that's the reason it was delayed. Why was 3.18 delayed? Because Cloud Imperium, during the Evocati tests, went, there's still things that need to be fixed for PES, majorly. So, when will the Crusader Spirit likely be available? We don't know. I'm expecting at some point next year. There is a Q&A that will go out later this week that should give us potentially a little bit more information. Do you think they will shift the completed ships to 3.17.4? That's what I think, yes, for the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. Things that are completed. So if they're not completed, then they'll probably be explorable at the IAE. If they are completed, then they'll probably be flyable at the IAE. How do you think the cargo refactor will look for X? Do we know? Do we get new vehicles, gear to lift boxes? Do you think we get boxes from the ship? Okay, so cargo refactor in 3.18 is likely to be the physicalization of commodity cargo. And beyond that, we don't really know. It could just be that. But it might be the ability to sort of have costs and times associated with loading and unloading cargo when you're buying and selling commodities. It could be new cargo containers. It could be new cargo missions. It could be a lot of stuff. But expect less with the first implementation, and mainly just the physicalization of the cargo. Because things like hover trolleys and stuff were also needed. We did see sort of working at CitizenCon. Where is the Aaron Halo Gateway? I'm not sure when that's going to turn up. Obviously, that's the big Crusader Gate at the Aaron Halo in Stanton. It's supposed to be sort of gating the inner and outer sort of system, sort of dividing it in two. That big asteroid field. It's like a sort of, not a cargo gate, like a toll gate. That's sort of the right word. Sort of trade hub gate thing. It will be turning up at some point. Is that target for the Space Expo tied to sales targets for Q4? Is that why, or other reasons? Not sure what you mean, but it is one of the largest sales events for them each year. They want to keep those dates, the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, the Fleet Week, CitizenCon dates, all sort of the same for continuity and marketing as well. Bored, are you excited for Rough Riders? Surge, MMO. So, if people that don't know, I collect and play a bit of 40k Warhammer stuff. Not really. I did not like the models. I love Rough Riders, okay? They are probably my favourite thing in 40k. I will happily have an army of human-mounted knights and cavalry stomping around on a grim, dark, futuristic battleground just because it's a bit dumb and it looks cool and they have lots of wounds, but they die very easily still. And I really, really like it. It's just a bit silly and they're quite versatile. So I've previously had entire armies of Adaptus Mechanicus cavalry with their Cerberus Raiders. And I've had Rough Riders armies, which I had Death Corps of Krieg Rough Riders. And I love the Death Corps of Krieg models. But the new Rough Riders models, they're a bit weird. Maybe I'll learn to love them. And maybe I can convert them a bit and get on board. Like the new rules for them, though. Like Melter Lancers. But thanks, Serge, for the question, because it's made me happy thinking about maybe I'll do a guard cavalry army again. Will players improve NPC behavior? Potentially, although it depends. Are the servers going to be in a better state after persistent energy streaming? Possibly. We don't know until it's in our hands, right? More speculation on your part, but when do you think they will follow up with other systems beyond Pyro next? So obviously, yeah, after Pyro, looks like Nyx is going to be the next one, and then probably the Odin system, which is one of the star systems for Squadron 42. And I expect them to be 6 to 9 months away with. We're 9 months away with each of them, sort of afterwards. They're about to get another system out. That would be my expectation. Don't know though. That's just how I would sort of like plan. Why do other players and enemies skip all over the place? And what is the system CIG needs to smooth that out? So that is a mixture of netcode and prediction. And there's some animation delay stuff that all needs to get sorted. They have sorted quite a lot of that out, but server meshing and some general network updates should go a huge way to solving that problem. On the Captain's Table podcast, you mentioned that you've tried to break the game using the new PES tech. Any more info on that? No, I can't. I cannot talk about the specifics of Evocati testing or what I've done in Evocati tests. What are you allowed to disclose from Evocati? That there's an Evocati phase going on. So typically it will be like they're testing or the Evocati went to 3.18 and it went to Evocati. That's basically it. And anything that Cloud Imperium talks about, and anything they say that we're allowed to talk about, but they won't say we're allowed to talk about anything because that would affect our sort of NDAs. So why would they? Technically, you could probably get away with anything that's been leaked talking about that because you haven't leaked it yourself, but then that's a slippery slope, and I wouldn't go down that because that would probably annoy CIG. So I choose not to cover the leaks that are Evocati leaks. Are they going to do a wipe for 3.17.4? Almost certainly not, unless it's essential for the patch. They haven't said they're going to. You will see a wipe for 3.18. You will almost certainly see a wipe for 4.0. Any news on racing? We know that racing's a focus for them. They're sorting out some new racetracks, sort of mixture of ground racing and space racing stuff. Obviously, Grimhex is going to have a flighty racetrack at some point done properly. Mini games in bars. Expect to see some like mini games on your Moby Glass at some point potentially. I mean, they've got the physics system and the evolution of grabby hands to allow for it, right? I'm going to BRB. I just need to bio real quick. I return. Oh, I may have to dash off at some point because I'm expecting a load of packages and a plumber to come around to do some work on my shower. That's not a euphemism. It's not some sort of board gamer after dark video. Oh, your plumbing's broken. That's that's my sexy voice. If people don't know. So we got. See, the joy of videos on the internet. Someone asked, what have they missed? You can just go and look at it afterwards. You're going to go and look at this whole live stream afterwards. I'll put it up online. I'll see you release in Q4 of this year. Cheers. I think that's unlikely. We might see the Hull C to some extent at the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo to sort of maybe look at the externals. Maybe have a look at the search of the internals. But it's more likely to... Could see it in 3.18 at the end of the year, I suppose. We could. It's possible. I'm really sort of erratic on my thoughts of the Hull C. Sometimes I think it's like going to turn up tomorrow, and sometimes I'm like, oh, it's a few months away. See, we could see it with 3.18. I'll see. Do you think CIG should hold off on new concepts and finish ships that are already being promised and sold? As long as they're building ships out and getting them into our hands quicker than they are making new concepts. So specifically, so as long as we're getting more ships in our hands and they're clearing the backlog, I'm okay with them building new concepts as well. And I think that's a fine way of doing it. Because you've got to remember that it's a huge source of income for them, and they're a massive company. And more people's faces in my B-roll video that's supposed to just be beautiful gameplay footage. But it's okay. Umbrella, have you sent more money? Why have you sent me more money? I like your money. Don't get me wrong. If that is indeed... You beautiful boy. And Marcus the Way. Thank you so much for the raid. Oh, I appreciate that as well. Hey. I hope you have had a good stream. Hope you're all right. Thank you very much for people joining us. Can't see your name now. I'm liking your money. Are you sure? Have you got a question you'd like to ask? Like, Bored, how can you be so beautiful? Thank you so much, though, genuinely. And if you have a problem with it went through multiple times or something, tell me and I'll make sure it gets refunded to you. Don't you worry, buddy. So you just sent me a load of money. Yeah, thanks. Go team. I never understand really why content creators, especially someone like me, gets donations, because I'd be producing content anyway. I mean, it does help. It helps me and Sin get, like, you know, new hardware and appropriate stuff, and like we do want 3090s and things like that. And eventually, I want to buy a house, and all those epic parties with that YouTube money. So it is appreciated. That's what I'm saying. I'm very sorry I'm so manic today. Do you think development is slower than it should be? Yes. Star Citizen is quite a slow burn. There's a reasonable amount of delays. I mean, you could argue there's just as many sort of the development is as slow as it needs to be. I do think it's a little overly precise and detailed. I would have it I certainly tried to push forward with gameplay and getting stuff in game rather than it all needing to be perfectly perfect. But you know, I'd have a half-assed game, and Chris Roberts wants a masterpiece. But 10 years in, anyone got their physical rewards yet? I mean, I've got a plushie and stuff. No one's got the released game boxes physical rewards yet. No, because they haven't finished them, because there's no physical released game yet. Well, there's the alpha. It's playable now, but it's not the version 1 of the game. How will ships like the Raft and the Hull A work in 3.18? So it's possible there'll be very little changes, if any. But it's also possible that the large cargo containers will be able to be detachable and could be put on and off with tracked beams or at facilities, and could be like properly fillable. Hi, Bored. This isn't a question. I just wanted to know how much we appreciate your content and fun energy. It really helps me through the boring job. Oh, no worries. You're awesome. I appreciate that, Weepy Sleeper. That is very kind. Thank you so much. It's comments like that that make me have a larger ego than I should have. So it is appreciated. When do you think they'll put ships back they're working on back on the progress tracker. Okay, so it depends when they can fit them on. So don't expect too much change on the progress tracker between now and the... Well, we've probably got one big sort of progress tracker boost over the next between now and December. And then probably not much else would change on the progress tracker until next year, just because they like to sort of tweak their roadmap somewhat in January. So sort of bear that in mind. Ships will appear back on there when they have scheduling time for them. It's going to be Squadron 42 ships first, and then ships just wherever they can fit them. Obviously, like the Banner Merchantman's taking up a huge amount of time. I'd love to see the Orion back on there, but I mean, it is such a massive ship, and it requires like another level of mining to also be done mechanically. What's the actual reason for the delay? So, Cloud Imperium said in their This Week in Star Citizen, our next major update, Alpha 3.18, has begun testing in our Evocati group. This test has proven successful in narrowing down the hurdles that need to be tackled before opening this patch up to a wider PTU, and we want to give you special thanks to all that topped in. In a previous roadmap update, we shared that Alpha 3.8 is targeting a November first half release, just ahead of the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. After more consideration, especially when evaluating data from our recent Evocati test, we've decided to spend just a few more weeks and target early December for a live release instead. This will not impact the IAE, which will now be a 3.17.4 patch, and this will all be reflected on our next roadmap update. So next roadmap update on the 26th of October, we'll probably know a bit more, but basically it will be that persistent entity streaming needs some refinement and more testing before going back to Evocati, and there's just not enough time to do that and then get persistent entity streaming in a good enough place for them to put 3.18 out. So they don't need to put 3.18 out initial release with all the content in. They can go bam, 3.18, release a 3.18.1 and 3.18.2 with the rest of the content if they want it. Do you know what I mean? So 3.18 basically just being tested for PES, persistent entity streaming, and we know that, but wasn't enough time to get it into a good place. Hope that was a bit more descriptive. I just wanted to say, Tamburello, that I love you. Occasionally, I just want to remind you of that. Squadron 42 more like a sandbox or typical RPG. So it is a more on rails single-player campaign akin to Wing Commander. So it's not sandbox. It's not mega open world. It's large-scale planets and worlds and things, and you can go a bit off the beaten track, but it is more on rails. Obviously, Star Citizen, the Persistent Universe, very sandbox. Thank you so much, Warsaw. I appreciate the raid. Thank you, thank you. Legendary. What we got here? When will we see server meshing, and what will it do to the game? So server meshing is going to be with Alpha 4.0. It also allows things for like the new system Pyro, which will also be at the same time, and jump points. It allows basically for more people to be on the same shard. So at the moment, you get 100, 120 people on a single server / shard. And servers and shards are the same things at the moment. Server meshing allows for servers and shards to be different. Shards will be a collection of servers, and them be server meshed together, so that each planet or area of space can be controlled by its own server, and you can seamlessly move between them. So instead of having 100 players, you could have 1,000 players on a single shard, or more, because then you'd have them moving across to other areas like Pyro as well. So 2,000 or more on a shard. And then dynamic server meshing will then allow for potentially everyone to be on the same shard, because they can spin up and down individual rooms and ships as their own servers. Now, that might not be the case, because there might be other technical limitations that go, well, actually, there's too much lag, or there's problems with having all the servers, the European servers and the American servers and the Asian servers, all sort of coalescing together, and we have to break them down like that. So bear that in mind. But server meshing, huge milestone, allows the game to be an actual MMO. Bored, how can you be this beautiful? God just made me this way. It just sort of happened. I rolled double 20 on my disadvantage roll, and bam, it didn't matter. I was just like, oh, he's just a beautiful boy. We tried to stop him, but he's just so beautiful. Got the hay and the raft. This game coming out soon? No, but it is playable now. When Pyro arrives, does that mean we'll get a base jump point to run through? Don't know what you mean by that. Sorry, Joe's got more. But there will be jump points. So in Stanton, you'll be able to jump to the Pyro system. Do you think we'll see a dynamic system for volatile cargo like Quantanium? Like faster countdown when changing direction or taking damage? Yes, I think that will. So volatile cargo will be much more dynamic in the future. Almost certainly. It makes sense. But there will also be much clearer on your HUD and UI and stuff that you've got volatile cargo there. Do you think as new systems come online, we will see a major change in pay for missions, cargo, etc.? Yes, especially when we have the dynamic economy, and that will change the way that money in our VBC is valued, and that value will fluctuate. Do you think Pyro will feel boring? Do you think Pyro will feel boring as you don't really have gameplay loops? So yeah, it does need a bit more gameplay. Obviously, Pyro is a much larger system than Stanton, but they are working on things like the exploration with quantum boosting and detecting things just randomly in space. So if you fill up space with a lot of content, then that actually makes it a lot more fun as well, right? Has Cal Imperium discussed putting Lorville into a giant meteor crater on Hurston, as it clearly would be more appropriate for Lorville? You're a monster. I like the changes that they're producing for Lorville 2.0, and hopefully that will look great. And when do you think server player count will increase again? Don't think it's going to increase again until they have server meshing in going. And that will be with 4.0, and hopefully 4.0 middle of next year, end of Q2 is my optimistic guess. Why did they add trees to Pyro 1? Wasn't it supposed to be a burnt out husk? They retconned some bits. And they went, well actually, there's some cool stuff. And so they've evolved some of the planet somewhat. Do you have an idea when... will it come out weather events? We will have environmental hazards and weather more readily in game. Obviously, we've got some versions of that with weather in game, but just not dynamic weather. Got a bonus from work and looking to build a computer to play the game with. Was looking at 5800X 3D, but now looking at the 5950X with the bonus. So, I've got a 5950. I've got a 5950X. I don't know much about the current new generation of processors because I have not looked into them, because I've not been buying one, because I'm happy with my 5950X. So with Vulkan and Gen 12 about to be released, is it worth the price premium? Probably not the premium, because I mean you're powering through with that, aren't you? I mean, are you getting a top end like 4080 or 4090 as well? Because you're not going to be bottlenecking with your CPU anyway, even at a slightly lower end. So sort of bear that in mind. I mean, that's a fantastic CPU if you're doing work that uses those CPUs and cores. Yeah, great. Star Citizen will make use of more cores scale for them, but again, I mean, that's pretty brutally top end, eh? A Savage in 3.17.4, no. Got I appreciate all the kind words from people. Thank you so much. That's a lot of love today. What else have we got here? I can't talk about the specifics of Eve Cardi, Raphael. Unfortunately, apologies. If you have cargo on board and are pirated, are you the type to pay them for your cargo back? I'd probably try and pay them to not board my ship. So potentially, it depends on the situation I'm in. If I think I can get away or fight my way out, I probably will. If I think I can get away with just a very small payment for a pirate, bam. I mean, I'm happy to sort of say, look, hire you in the future as well. Do you know what I mean? I'm quite social and quite friendly. Sorry, I just saw spam. Apologies for that. Any news about Gen 12 on 3.18? So not really much new news other than it looks like 3.18 is going to have a reasonable amount of Gen 12 stuff. It looks to me like it's going to be the Tier 0 implementation of Gen 12 renderer. We got the name of your co-creator. It's Zin. She should get some coffee too. No, oh Tamburello, you're a beautiful boy. Yes, I will give her. I will pass on that one of those donations to her. Appreciated. Thank you so much. I will tell her. She will be happy. Love you, Bored. Got a potential job change promotion coming up. Wish me luck. Grimbo, good luck. Thank you so much for a 20-month member on my YouTube channel. Oh, YouTube channel member. Thank you very much, Grimbo. You're a legend. And genuinely good luck. I do think you're being too invasive trying to force close combat and anti-janks. But there, rather than me. So no, I think that that's the right way to go. Like, they've always wanted to have it sort of the relatively close-up SCM speed. And I think that this seems like a good solution for that. We won't really know, though, until it's in our hands, right? When we get to test it ourselves, we'll see how good it is. I like the idea. On paper, I like the idea. Basically, for people that don't know, they're having a distinct difference between travel mode, sort of QCM, quantum control mode, where you can, in quantum control mode, can quantum travel and quantum boost. So that's the short range travel. Like, you can even blind quantum boost. And you can cruise speed, so you can go above SCM speeds into very high, like 1,400 meters a second sort of travel. Yeah? But you don't have your shields, you don't have your weapons in that mode. Or you can go into SCM mode, which is like capped at 300 meters a second speed. But then you've got access to all of your weapons and shields and stuff, but you can't quantum travel. All right? With that, they hope to have dogfighting and relatively close range, people to engage each other, meaningfully engage, and go, bam, we're fighting. You can see the prettiness of the ships. Other plans to bring Levski back soon. Levski will be in the Nyx system. So, after Pyro's released, expect to see the Nyx not too far after that. Could 3.17.4 have Gen 12 in it? I mean, it could. I mean, it will certainly have some additional Gen 12 tweaks. Possibly, probably. Are there any plans to return some Alpha UEC to players after the 3.18 wipe? There are no plans they've talked to about that yet, but it's possible. Do you think they will be adding ground vehicle spawns in hangars? Yes, I think you'll be able to spawn vehicles and ships very soon. And I think that there will be anywhere there's a sort of ground hangar and where the appropriate ability to spawn a vehicle be, that will also be there. You think we'll see base building in the next 2 years? Yes, it looks like with the Rastar system, it looks like they're actually trying to focus on trying to get base building in game. See if that's something they can do. How many more years do you think until release? I think we could see a beta in the next 3 to 4 years. That's a bit. The next 3 years of beta. That's what I would hope. Or do you think we'll see the holographic signs in 3.18? No, I think that's going to be a little bit further out, the holographic building block stuff. Cool 3D UIs. How do you think 400i will do with the new flight and combat changes? Are we going to run without shields? It depends if you choose to run without shields. You're cruising around everywhere. But that's a good point. Will some of these luxury ships have stronger hulls and the quicker ability to switch between modes? Do you think they're pushing too hard to prevent jousting? I mean, they want to prevent jousting and they want ship combat to be in a closer sort of box. Again, it's something they've wanted forever. So, will persistent entity streaming mean that after logging on in a giant sandworm stomach, you'll log back in a giant sandworm stomach? So, when it's fully implemented, I suppose yes, if it's not already digested you. Would you ever play D&D with me? Potentially, if people do D&D online, I can be convinced if it's able to slot in appropriately. I like D&D. I'm just about to finish the Sent to Avernus campaign. Do you think that after 4.0 came with Pyro, game will grow faster in the next months and years with more systems being added? Yeah, but so Star Citizen are expanding out their studios. They're expanding out the amount of work they can do. They're getting closer to releasing Squadron 42 and the core of the game being done, and obviously getting closer to having server meshing and 4.0 out. All of that means that we're going to have faster development. You're the legend that invested over $100,000 into the game. Oh my god. I've spent about $3,000 in Star Citizen. If you're talking to a particular person. That's... Break your NDA. Tell us what colour socks Chris wears. It's black. He wears black little turtlenecks on his feet. So merch IRL Vandal Halloween masks when? I love the idea. Yeah. Silly merch is always I always like. Is Gen 12 and Pairs related? No. Hope all is well. I don't know if you if this has been answered yet. Do you think 3.18 will come out for Thanksgiving Day in Americas? 3.18 looks to be early to mid-December. Any idea when volumetric clouds will start moving? Good question. They are looking at weather systems. They are looking at that sort of stuff. I know that my radar was involved in helping them with some weathery stuff. I don't know when it's going to be, though. Have you seen Expat Brat Star Citizen streams? No. Are they worth watching, Firebrand? Feel free to PM me a link. Uh, 3.18 got delayed, like recently, or... Yes, so they announced that for the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, it's the mid to late November, they are having a 3.17.4 patch rather than 3.18, and 3.18 will be released towards the end of the year. Do you think medium ships will still be able to be flown solo? Yes, they will be able to with the new management, even with the resource system and damage control and with physicalized components. However, may have more problems with them and maintaining them if you're flying them for long periods of time solo. Do you have any idea what 3.17.4 will contain? The Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, some tweaks and updates, potentially some ships like the Corsair, maybe like the some of the little tiny features of 3.18, like maybe the Grey Cat race track, that sort of stuff. But we'll know more appropriately next week when they have the roadmap update. Wouldn't the salvage derelict be in 3.17.4 like mining is already to test and salvage vulture? Yeah, but typically they'll need more time to test that in Evocati, so I wouldn't expect it for 3.17 before it's very much a 3.18 feature. Do you think, and I believe some of that stuff probably requires pairs. Wouldn't the salvage derelict be, just talk about, do you think the SCM and QCM modes will not be bad in normal travel on short, like 15 to 30 kilometers? It depends on the mode you want to travel in. I will pass on people's kind messages to Zin. How will the new speeds affect missiles and torpedoes? The missiles and the IFCS system that runs them and torps and stuff will be getting an update. I'm not sure how that's directly going to be impacted by the short-term changes to ship rolls and quantum travel. And SUM speeds and rolls. Do you think the Ares nerf was made in anticipation of this flight change? No, I think it was just to balance it in the short term. Just because they were one-shotting people and fighters too easily. Now we have VTOM mode, scanning mode, ECM combat mode, speed, missile mode, quantum travel mode, some ships, and mining mode, quantum booster mode. Yes, and you'll have operators for all those modes potentially. You think they should change the minimum RAM requirement on the website to 32 gigs? No, 16 stuff. 12 is technically enough. I must admit, having 32 gigs does make it a lot easier and starts it a lot more performantly. So recommended, I suppose, yeah, it really should be 32. Though it might be coming down soon to be more realistically within 16. Love you, buddy. I love you too, J-Bird. What kind of ship would you guess is the unannounced one? There's lots of stuff it could be. The problem is there's some leaks and stuff that come from Ibucari as well, so I can't really discuss specifics, unfortunately. Soon we'll talk about the IA stuff soon. You know when the spirit cell will get removed? Do I have until next month? You probably have until the end of this month, probably. The Q&A may answer when it's no longer on sale. Can't remember the normal. At least 2 weeks, isn't it, right? Sometimes it's like a month. Question mark? With the new travel mode changes, I'm worried about miners and cargo haulers on this one. If they want to run, they'll probably want to switch to QCM, taking a chance with no shields. Well, why would they just get blown up by people? They're going to want to, pirates are going to want to catch them. Sort of rob them, not just blow them up, for the most part. And also, if you see someone coming towards you, you can get that they're traveling to you in SCM, right? You can switch to QCM. They're trying to combat you. With players cooperating and working with one another in the persistent universe, what kind of contract system will Star Citizen provide? Hopefully a more robust and flexible one, yes. And rating systems and things like that, so you can rate people. We don't know, though, until it's in our hands, I suppose, or until they can appear and talk about it a bit more. With the Argo manufacturer, we will talk about these sort of things, because I'm not sure what's Eve leaks or not. I'm sorry. What 3 ships should I have to park Madras? Ooh. One of them might be like worth having as a terrapin. And then it depends on what sort of roles and stuff that you want to do in game. You want something that's going to be sort of traveling planet side. You want something that's more combat orientated than all of combat. I really like the idea of a terrapin as one of them because they're tanky, they're great for sort of scouting and scanning. How are you feeling as a long-term player and backer with all the delay coming in? Happy for them not releasing stuff before it's polished, or worried about the slow development? I mean, both. I'm always juxtaposed with Star Citizen development. Sort of annoyed a bit, like that stuff gets delayed. It is a slow burn development. Sometimes I think they could communicate a lot better, or give us sort of what they're thinking in their heads and just tell us about that. And sometimes I think they sort of talk about stuff a little late. But I also am in the opinion that I want stuff to be ready when it's ready, and done when it's done properly. Star Citizen, when they release live patches, can't revert to previous states. It can't be sort of like worse than it was previously. So they sort of need to get that nailed down. When do you think the passenger mission will come out? So taxi missions will be a thing. Probably something we'll see mid next year. You know, they'd previously done some work on them. Would you like to see them give the standard system quality of life update? Yes, and they will eventually. We'll see when they do that, though. When do you think the inventory management will be more streamlined? They're working on that now. They're working on UI stuff. They're working on new mobiGlas stuff, and generally the inventory system's getting a lot of love. Any plans for any other life forms in 3.18, 3.19? Not as far as I'm aware. Do you think the Spirit series will get a little bigger? Potentially they might get a little bigger, but I'm liking their size and everything at the moment. We'll find out in the Q&A later this week if it can fit what vehicles it can fit, because they might tweak it a bit. Have you heard any news about the Volt coming out this year? So the Volts, they are Volt Electron weapons that Clan Imperium have been working on for FPS. There should be some out, I think, with 3.18. Would the studio in Manchester hire Americans? Apply and tell them if you are good enough, they'll allow you to work from home. Obviously, there are studios in America, and they do have some contracts with people that do entirely just work from home / remotely. Will CIG provide additional functionality that will allow for sending items to each other, such as animal dung that we stored in your personal hangar? I believe there will be ways of sending and having stuff delivered to other players, either delivered by other players or via NPCs or whatever for cost. A cost of some description. When do you think we'll be able to name more ships like the Freelancer? I don't know. They have a system that works. They want to tweak it a bit so it's a bit more sensible, but we don't know. Right. Do you think it's becoming a problem that mid-sized ships are all judged in part on their ability to carry a rock? I mean, they are. There's actually a lot of questions and people's responses and things I see that support that. Is Steve supposed to be without a shield? It's the STV. I hate you. I don't think it's got a shield. I don't think it's supposed to have a shield now. Okay. Follow-up question. I have an Avenger Stalker and a Talon Shrike for inside my Idris, but was thinking of getting rid of the Shrike and looking for an overlap ship to fit. One cargo, one multi. Oh, okay. Maybe look at the Spirit series. D1. Okay. When do you think inventory management will be? That's what I am going to dash off. Because I need to get a video out. I am going to go on to Twitch and see who else is streaming. I think Anna typically streams today. I don't. Oh, right. We've got Maya. We've got Moist Noodle. A load of Dutch. German players. Let's go and give someone some love. I'm going to send you over to the beautiful Maya. You're actually live. Not, it's only just started. I don't know when it's going to start. I'm going to send you over to Moist Noodle. Love you, Maya. Love you, Moist. Right. Poop. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Is that working? Bored. Yeah, hello. The raid's not working anymore? Do I have to /host? /host now? /host. Ah, perfect. Now it's working. Thank you very much for watching. It's very much appreciated. Oh, also, what did you just raid me earlier? Yeah. I'll listen to you. I'll listen. Appreciate all the love. Thank you. As in raids work. I see what you mean. Bam. Fair point. Raids do work. You raided me. What about the Consolidated Outland? What about Constellation Outland? Consolidated Outland. They're an interesting I hate the Pioneer. I hate the Nomad. Oh, I think it's an ugly ship. But I like their other than that, I like their aesthetic. 2013 backer. I feel like a war vet in a Michael Bay movie. Anyone that was there's 2.6 and 3.0 days. Stopping gaming for almost a year just to focus on work. Your thoughts? Same thing. 2.6 to 3.8 comparable to what we have now. The game's advanced quite a lot since then, and we're sort of on the precipice to a load more content coming out with 4.0 and stuff. So, it's pretty exciting, Star Citizen at the moment, but again, also a slow development with lots of delays. I mean, I recommend playing lots of other games simultaneously. Right, I'm out of time. I love you. Talk soon. Go in there. Love you guys.